Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.
And welcome back to the Ruckus with Alex Himes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in again. It's good to be back today. I'm introducing, this is the first episode being done in the studio, the new studio that I've built out. I'm very excited for you guys to see this. Those who are tuning in via YouTube and those who are tuning in via radio, thank you very much for tuning in there. But if you'd like to see how the new layout is going and what it's looking like, feel free to check out the page, Alexander Himes on YouTube or Alexander Himes on Instagram or Alexander Himes on Facebook. Now, enough of my plugins right there. I know, gets annoying after a while. But for those who are seeing right now, it is still under construction. There are a couple things that are going to be changed, so bear with me. It's going to look great. We got another probably about a week or two out from the final studio being done. But without further ado, we're going to jump right into it because today, man, it's been an interesting Sunday. Let's just put it like that. All right. We saw a bunch of games go down yesterday and today in the NFL. As predicted, the Chiefs beat the Colts. Okay. Now, I'd like to start off by saying I'm sorry to my co-show host on my other show, Don't At Me, to Michael. Michael, I gave you a lot of crap saying that the Colts might get a little lucky, haha, pun intended. I know, I'm not that funny, right? And that they might actually beat the Chiefs. Well, lo and behold, Patrick Mahomes bent Andrew Luck over on his lap like a baby getting smacked on the bottom when they were in trouble, and did just that with a final score of 31-13. Indianapolis stood no chance. It was a mixture of the Colts' offensive struggles paired with the defensive prowess, for the first time I'm ever going to say this about Kansas City, whose defense just freaking kicked in. I mean, I'm sorry. I did not expect that outburst. The game started out with probably what should have told me that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to be fine from this entire game, and that was Dee Ford literally coming out of nowhere and swamping Marlon Mack on the first opening drive of that game. All right. He came out of nowhere. And from that point, I should have known I was in for a rough time, and just as much was Indianapolis. So it was a healthy mixture of Indianapolis's lapses on the offensive side because Andrew Luck, albeit had a decent game with over 200 yards, the offense just didn't look okay. He was not able to complete passes, both in part because of him and the Kansas City defense just coming out of nowhere and stifling this guy. And I can't blame weather in this situation because he's played in cold weather. Indianapolis, it gets cold as well. So I just chalk it up to this was just not their Sunday game. And the defense, the Kansas City defense, just out of nowhere. Oh my God, it was a headache. Chris Jones and Dee Ford literally put the team on their back on the defensive side, stepped up, and they made sure that they were going to walk away from this game with a win. Now, offensively, if you had told me that Patrick Mahomes was going to win this game without a touchdown scored over Andrew Luck, who would score a touchdown, I want you to give me a call, all right? The reason I want you to give me a call is I want you to pick the rest of my playoff bracket, and hopefully the New England Patriots in there winning over the Chiefs this week. But aside from that, I want you to pick the rest of my playoff bracket because I want to be making money. And if you're the dude that called that, more power to you, man. And I need your help because clearly my bracket's been busted already, starting with Baltimore because I had faith in Lamar Jackson. But aside from that, we had the other games. We had the Rams beat the Cowboys. And I won't say too much about this because, one, I wanted the Seahawks to win. And two, because it's the Cowboys. How about them boys, baby? And especially because it's the Rams, and I'll get into the Rams in a little bit. But other than that, we also had the Chargers versus the Patriots, which was today, and the Eagles and Saints, which were today. And, I seldomly ever find myself in a situation where I see the Patriots going into a game, and I don't believe, or I shouldn't say don't believe, that I find myself worried that they might lose the game. The Patriots went into this game, and I said they were going to beat Phillip Rivers. Their record against Phillip Rivers, or Brady's record against Phillip Rivers in Boston, is 0-4. Well, now it's 0-5. Or I should say, Rivers' record against Brady in Foxborough is 0-5 now because Phillip Rivers and the Chargers just didn't show up. And at one point, the game was at 41, was at 38 to, I think, 14 or something like that. And I'm on the phone with my mom while we're watching the game. And my mom is saying, this game's pretty boring. I want the Chargers to start scoring. I want it to get a little bit more interesting, and I want them to end up, at least getting somewhere closer for the final score. And I'm sitting over here like, Mom, you do not want to root for the Chargers to score because there are a couple times where I've seen where they're behind and they make those come from behind wins, and I will lose my mind if you said that and we end up losing, we being the Patriots. I told her that if the Chargers come back and win, I don't think I could talk to her for a couple months. Barring that, the Chargers did not come back. They ended up losing the game 41-28. I give Rivers a lot of credit, and I also want to give a lot of credit to Antonio Gates because I love seeing that he was the final touchdown for San Diego because this might have been his last. Yeah, San Diego. Oh my God, I pulled a Stephen A. Smith for the LA Chargers. Oh man, I like seeing Antonio Gates getting the touchdown for Los Angeles for that final play. That meant a lot, I know, for him probably, and whether or not he decides to retire. If he does decide to retire, he at least went out on his terms and got to be the last guy to score the touchdown for them in that game. Now, on the other side of the ball, Brady. TB12 had a good game. 1 touchdown, over 300 yards. I liked what I saw. I did. And it gave a lot of people the time to stop for a moment and say, okay, maybe the Patriots aren't out of luck yet. Although they don't have Josh Gordon, although Gronkowski looks like a man in a walker, and although Brady looks a little bit older, there is still hope in New England and in Foxborough. Brady is relying on the running game, and we're going to get in that a minute, but I want to make it very clear. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots aren't done. All right? They are not done. And then the Eagles-Saints game that just ended. I really find myself in a situation here. I hate Nick Foles. I do. I hate that he won the Super Bowl for the Eagles last year. I do. But I can't bring myself to hate a guy who's a backup quarterback and has a better story than him. But they didn't pull it off this time, and the Saints won. And my God, it was so satisfying seeing Alshon Jeffrey lose that pass and Marshawn Lattimore taking that thing away. It was so satisfying watching that man on the ground, face into the ground, realizing what had just happened and what just cost him the game. And he, to his credit, took full responsibility after the game, saying that the loss was on him. And I have never been more satisfied to watch Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles go home. And to my buddy Eddie Alderson, who is a diehard Eagles fan from Philly, this is for you, buddy. Ha, ha, ha. Who's going farther this year? You want to talk about the fly, Eagles, fly, and oh, we beat Brady. 5 rings, buddy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. Brady? Yup. Foles? Nope. All right, yeah, I'll be a sore loser on this one, but I do give, again, I keep going back to giving credit to where credit's due. I give credit to Nick Foles. I give credit to the Eagles for what they've done. They put together a decent season, pushing into the playoffs at last moment and, pushing to at least play the Saints, which not many people thought they would do. And one other thing I want to give credit for is I want to give credit to Andrew Luck and Frank Reich. I know we've already passed this subject, but it's important to recognize that although I do not like the Indianapolis Colts, and I've been the guy and on record stating that, the Colts should move on from Luck from the standpoint of he is very injury prone, and they've already experienced a couple of lackluster seasons with and without him. And he does have promise. Let me state that. But the man is injury prone, and they could do themselves better by moving on from him, going to another quarterback and changing up the system. Now, I'll start off by saying, regardless of who you are, what team you're a fan of, and who your quarterback is, and any of those things, you should always root for a guy who's coming back from injury to surpass expectations. You can talk as much crap as you want about them. And as a football fan and as a hater of Indianapolis, and also I don't want to say hater. I'm such a diehard Pats fan, and we're so spoiled that you don't want to see any other team win in the conference, nor win in your division, nor win, period. But I've constantly said that I don't like Andrew Luck and I don't like the Indianapolis Colts. But I do love when players outshine the expectations that we put on them. And as someone that's talked about how Andrew Luck the Colts should move on from Luck because of his injury, his ability to get injured by being touched by a player, I think that it's great to see this guy surpass expectations and prove the haters, the critics, the fans, and everyone around you wrong. And in this moment, he made me eat my words. He was second in touchdowns this season. He pushed the Colts into the playoffs. He manhandled the Texans with that 21-7 win, and he pushed to play one of the toughest teams in the NFL and also one of the brightest and youngest QBs in the game right now. So I give him full credit. Andrew, you surpassed expectations, you shut up the haters, and you made a guy like me eat my words. And although I've not played the game of football in terms of professionally at all, I still have my opinions, and I just want to say, you made me shut up, you made me eat my words. I tip my hat to you and to Frank Reich for the awesome season you put together for the Colts. And, I'm going to leave it at that because I'm tired of talking about the Colts and giving them credit. And now we're going to move on to the predictions for the conference championship games. All right, so now our matchups are Rams-Saints and then Patriots-Chiefs. Pretty safe to say that most people expected the Chiefs versus the Patriots, or the Patriots versus the Chiefs, that is, to be the final game that we would see in one conference. And the other side, people expected at least to see the Rams and then also to see the Saints at this point. I think that's a pretty fair assumption in these games. We're pretty much expected maybe a little bit of Chicago here and there, or maybe even a little bit of LA, but we've gotten the teams set up that we all believe to be in these games. Now, starting with the Rams and the Saints game, I have to take a moment and say I am rooting for the Rams for a multitude of reasons. It's not just because I'm from Los Angeles. I know. I'm a New England Patriots fan, Boston sports fan. I'm from Los Angeles. My mom's from Massachusetts, so New England guy. But my father was a fan of the Rams when he moved out to Los Angeles in the 80s. And even when they left, he was still a fan of theirs. And now that they're back, they've got some guys that I like a lot. And it's nice to see these guys playing well, especially seeing Sean McVay push these guys as far as they have come, bringing them back to resurgence. It's that underdog story, not anymore, I should say, but previously it was the underdog story. Now it's the nice story that keeps on giving, and the city is rallying behind it, and I love seeing it. So from that standpoint, yeah, I'm rooting for the Rams in this game. I might be a little biased, but the biggest part of it is we already saw one Boston, Los Angeles championship game this year, that being the World Series with the Dodgers and the Red Sox. How freaking awesome could it be to get another LA-Boston rivalry sports series? Think about it. Rams versus Patriots, right? Does that not sound great to you guys? I mean, come on. The Rams versus the Patriots would be a great game. You get to see the two cities with two of the most storied sports franchises go at it again in the same year. We never get this, people. So from that standpoint, I myself, and I think most fans, should be rooting for it. Of course, you have your Kansas City fans, you have your New England haters, you have your Saints fans who are all going to be rooting for the otherwise. But I'm here to tell you that although I'm biased, I think it's freaking awesome. And if it does end up happening, that would be great, not only for the sport of football, but for sports in general, because, these are two storied franchises. You have the Lakers hating with the Celtics. You have the Red Sox now with the Dodgers. I mean, come on, people. You can have the Kings and the Bruins. This gift keeps on giving. This is a great year for New England sports and a great year for Los Angeles sports. I mean, sure, the Dodgers lost. And if the Rams lose, it's bad. Or if the New England Patriots lose, it's bad. But it's great for the sports overall. Now, enough of my talking about that. With this prediction, we're going with the LA Rams and the Saints. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure you guys can guess where I'm going with this. I'm going with the Rams over the Saints. It's a battle of the minds. Sure, There is Drew Brees and there's Jared Goff, two great quarterbacks who have great weapons on both sides of the ball, both in terms of deep threats and rushers and great defenses to surround these guys with and keep them on the field longer. But in terms of coaching, this is a great coaching matchup. Honestly, we've been blessed with both conference championship games having great coaching matchups and even great quarterbacks. Like, this is all great, people. I mean, I keep praising both sides, but let's be real. Getting the opportunity to see Sean McVay and Jared Goff versus Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Bill Belichick and Brady versus Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. This is a blessing, all right? But I do think it boils down to the better plays ultimately win the game. And the better plays, I'm sorry, I love Sean Payton. He's gotten the team a Super Bowl back in 2010. I love Drew Brees. He's, come on, record breaker. You mean, can you hate the guy? And he's also one of the nicest guys in America. McVay is going to have Goff playing out of his mind. And I do think that the Rams will beat New Orleans. I know, in New Orleans. Hard to believe, right? And I do think that the game will end 33-27. I do believe that. Genuinely do believe that. I think it'll be a close slugfest, scoring fest, back and forth. But I do believe that by the end of it, we will see the Rams playing. I guess we're going to have to go to that prediction too now. So, Patriots and Chiefs, all right? The Patriots and the Chiefs. And I got to tell you, this is the first time as a Patriots fan I can legitimately say I'm worried. I'm worried, people, because I have never been in a situation where I believe the New England Patriots could potentially lose a game. And we're talking about playoffs, of course. Being a Patriots fan, we're spoiled, admittedly. And I'll put it out there. We're spoiled. We have the best quarterback of all time. We have the most winning quarterback of all time. We have the best coach of all time. We have the best quarterback-coach tandem of all time. We've gone to 8 straight title games. We've had 5 Lombardi trophies raised. We've had numerous great players come in and out of New England, who some of which gone to the Hall of Fame. Others are still riding high with us now. We've been blessed with a great tight end in Gronk. Man, I mean, do I need to go any further with this? And this is why this is hard for me, because now I have to remind everyone of this.
Tom Brady's just about done. It could be his next game he plays. It could be a year from now. But he is going to fall off a cliff. Tom Brady is going to be a bum in short order. Now, what do I base that on?
Tom, can you say that again?
Yes.
Kellerman, let me take my moment to just say, we're riding that wave, baby. That cliff that you said he would fall off a cliff. Yeah, I know you came back. You said you were sorry. But that cliff that you were talking about, that like deep fall, you know, it's kind of looking like this, if anything. Maybe a little bumps here and there down the road. But Brady is still going strong. And why? Because he's reformed his game. Sure, he's not throwing the ball as long, and he's not throwing it as frequently as he used to. And also, the guys he would play with, as in Gronk, Edelman, some of the other guys, are getting older, and they're not as great. Then you have guys like Josh Gordon who've come through impressed, and they just never made it through the season with us. So, sure, situation might seem bleak in some aspects, especially as a Pats fan. You're used to X, Y, and Z, and this season's been a little bit of ABC. But what happened? Brady's back. We're back. Maybe not fully back, but you know, you're not hearing any complaints from me. This has been a season of ups and downs. All right, we lost 2 major games that should have been obvious wins. We ended up with a record of 11-5. And now here we are about to face one of the youngest and brightest quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes. And sure, that defense today scared the crap out of me. Yesterday, scared the crap out of me. Let's be real. Them being able to do what they did to Indianapolis, especially with defensive ratings as bad as they were this season, being, I believe, 30th against the pass and 24th or 27th against the rush. I mean, come on. This is a problem if they're going to play that well. But in terms of Max Kellerman, as he likes to use, I hope that they regress to their mean. And that regression hopefully occurs within the next week. They have not been able to necessarily plan for a team like New England. You really can't, especially against Bill Belichick, the way he schemes and how he changes things up, especially mid-game. We saw a sample size of how this game would turn out earlier this season when the teams had some of their other guys like Gordon, and they also had Kareem Hunt, excuse me. And it ended with 43-40 on Monday night. Well, here we are now. It's about to be a big, big game. And by I say big, big game, I mean it's going to tell us one of two things. If the New England Patriots beat Kansas City, and you're hearing it from me now, so lean in. New England wins the Super Bowl. That's right. Regardless of their opponent. Hopefully Los Angeles, just because of the things I've said. If Kansas City beats New England and goes to the Super Bowl, they win the Super Bowl. This conference game defines who's going to win the Super Bowl. I'm sure of it. The two best quarterbacks remaining in the playoffs, and that is no disrespect by any means to Drew Brees. No disrespect. And let me rephrase. I should say the best quarterback in the playoffs still is Patrick Mahomes, and then Drew Brees. The only reason I put Brady behind Brees is because he is regressing. Yes, and I admit that. But you can't count out Brady. You can't, especially with Bill Belichick. Especially with Belichick. The man put up over 500 yards in a Super Bowl last year, in which it didn't seem like anything the Pats could have done would have led to a winning outcome. But here they sit. They're back again. That cliff looks like it's just, prolonging itself a little bit, Max. And to the rest of those fans out there in New England, be a little worried, be a little concerned. But just know, same thing for you guys in Kansas City. And as it goes, whoever wins this game wins the Super Bowl. And that's my prediction here right now. All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning into the Ruckus. I hope you're liking the new look of the studio a little bit. You guys will get updates as soon as more things are going in on my Instagram and on Facebook. You guys can check me out on Instagram Live once I start doing the building process for some of the new furniture and equipment. And don't forget to check out Alexander Himes on Instagram, Alexander Himes on Facebook, Alexander Himes on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, share, also comment and tag, man. This is a community-based page, and I am all about talking and interacting with the fans. So anyone that wants to chat, talk, don't hesitate, man. I'm all about making that happen. Hope everyone's having a good start to the new year. Fulfill those resolutions, people.
Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.